What does it cost to own an island so private that even the surrounding waters feel like someone else's property? How does a tennis champion end up owning a private island in the Canadian wilderness for less than the price of a Manhattan apartment? Around the world, a small circle of billionaires has quietly bought up entire islands that most people will never even hear about. These are 13 private islands so expensive that almost nobody talks about them. Necker Island. This British Virgin Islands retreat was purchased by a young airline entrepreneur in 1978 for roughly $180,000 at a time when few believed private island ownership was realistic for anyone outside old aristocratic families. Over the following decades, the owner transformed it into one of the most exclusive resorts on Earth, hosting royalty, world leaders, and celebrities within its Balinese-style main house. A devastating fire destroyed that main house in 2011, and Hurricane Irma battered the island again in 2017, forcing extensive rebuilding both times. Today, a single week's stay on the fully restored island can cost more than most people earn in several years. Lanai. This entire Hawaiian island was purchased almost in full by a technology billionaire in 2012. Acquiring roughly 98% of its land for a reported $300 million. The purchase included working pineapple fields, 2 luxury resorts, and the homes of thousands of longtime residents who suddenly found themselves living on land owned by a single person. The new owner invested heavily in renewable energy, agricultural technology, and resort renovations, transforming the island's economy within just a few years. Few private individuals in modern history have ever owned this much of an inhabited island at once. Skorpios. This small Greek island was purchased by a shipping magnate in the early 1960s who transformed it into a private retreat, complete with its own chapel, private beach, and staff quarters for dozens of employees. The island gained worldwide attention in 1968 when its owner married a widowed American First Lady there in a small private ceremony that dominated international headlines for weeks. After passing through his daughter's estate following both their deaths, the island was eventually sold to a Russian billionaire in 2013 for a reported price well over $100 million. It remains largely closed to outsiders, glimpsed mostly from passing boats in the Ionian Sea. Laucala Island. This Fijian island was purchased in the early 2000s by an energy drink billionaire who spent years transforming its former coconut plantation into one of the most expensive private resorts in the South Pacific. Villas on the island rent for tens of thousands of dollars per night, each equipped with its own private pool, dedicated chef, and personal golf cart for getting around the property. The resort operates its own working farm and dairy to supply fresh food for guests, a rarity among private island retreats of this scale, despite its extraordinary prices. The resort remains fully booked years in advance by an ultra-wealthy clientele who rarely discuss it publicly. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel so you never miss one of these estates. North Island. This Seychelles retreat consists of just 11 ultra-private villas spread across a granite boulder island restored from decades of agricultural damage back to its natural state. The resort gained global attention in 2011 when it hosted the honeymoon of a British royal couple following their widely televised wedding, a stay kept almost entirely secret from the press. Conservationists working on the island have reintroduced giant tortoises and rare bird species as part of an ecological restoration project funded largely by guest revenue. A single night's stay today can cost more than the average monthly salary in most countries. Musha. This collection of small Bahamian islands was purchased and developed by a world-famous illusionist who spent years transforming empty sand cays into a private retreat with its own beach dining pavilions and an artificial ocean view pool cut into solid rock. Renting the entire property requires booking all 5 islands together, with weekly rates reportedly exceeding $300,000 during peak season. The property has hosted private events for some of the world's wealthiest families, each arriving by private plane to a runway built specifically for the resort. Almost no photographs of the interiors have ever been made public, keeping much of the property's design a closely guarded secret. Peter Island. This British Virgin Islands resort has changed hands several times since first being developed in the 1970s, each new owner investing further into its beaches, spa facilities, and private yacht harbor. Hurricane Irma tore through the island in 2017, destroying much of the original resort infrastructure and forcing a multi-year, multi-million-dollar rebuilding effort. The renovated property reopened with entirely new villas designed to withstand future storms, incorporating reinforced construction methods rarely used in typical Caribbean resort architecture. Today, it remains one of the most expensive private island retreats in the entire Caribbean region. Motu, Tane. This small private island in Bora Bora has changed ownership multiple times over the decades, each sale reported in the tens of millions of dollars, despite covering only a few acres of land. Its overwater bungalow-style main house and surrounding lagoon have made it one of the most photographed private islands in French Polynesia, despite the fact that almost no visitors are ever permitted ashore. Film crews have occasionally been granted rare access for productions requiring a genuinely private tropical setting, one of the few ways outsiders have ever seen its interior. The island's extreme exclusivity has only driven its resale value higher with each change of ownership. If these properties fascinate you, join our community and subscribe to the channel. Petra Island. This forested retreat on Lake Muskoka in Ontario was purchased by a world champion tennis player in 2018 for a reported price of roughly $5 million, a modest sum by international private island standards. The property includes a boathouse, guest cottages, and direct lake access, reflecting a quieter style of wealth compared to the tropical mega resorts favored by other billionaires. Unlike many private islands built for large-scale entertaining, the retreat was reportedly purchased primarily as a personal family getaway away from public attention. Its relatively modest price compared to Caribbean or Pacific islands surprised many observers familiar with the tennis star's considerable fortune. Calivigny Island. This small private island off the coast of Grenada has become known as one of the most expensive private island rentals in the world, with weekly rates reportedly reaching several $100,000 for the entire property. The island includes multiple villas, a private beach, and staff dedicated entirely to guests, renting the property for weddings, celebrations, and corporate retreats. Its owners have deliberately kept the island's ownership structure and renovation costs almost entirely out of public reporting. Despite its extreme rental prices, the island reportedly stays booked for much of the year among clients who rarely discuss their stays publicly. Isla Palenque. This Panamanian island was developed as a sustainable private retreat, combining a small number of luxury villas with extensive rainforest and beach conservation across the majority of its land. Unlike many private islands built purely for exclusivity, its developers marketed portions of the property for sale to individual buyers seeking their own private beachfront villa within a shared island community. The development includes an off-grid power system and a private airstrip, allowing owners to arrive without ever passing through mainland Panama. Prices for individual villas on the island have climbed steadily as interest in private Central American real estate has grown. Cave Cay. This private island in the Bahamian Exumas has passed through several wealthy owners over the decades, each drawn by its natural deep-water harbor capable of docking large private yachts. The island includes an airstrip, multiple residences, and a marina built specifically to accommodate the vessels of visiting owners and their guests. Its remote location within the Exumas chain has kept it largely unknown outside of yachting and private aviation circles, despite its considerable resale value. Several attempts to develop it into a larger resort community have stalled over the years, keeping it primarily a private retreat. Cayo, Espanto. This tiny private island off the coast of Belize consists of just a handful of individual villas, each built on stilts over the surrounding lagoon to maximize privacy between guests. The resort has hosted numerous celebrities and public figures specifically because of its extreme discretion, including strict no photography policies enforced throughout the property. Guests can rent individual villas or book the entire island exclusively, with full island rentals reaching tens of thousands of dollars per night. Despite operating for decades, the resort has managed to keep almost all details of its high-profile guest list entirely out of public reporting. From a British Virgin Islands retreat rebuilt twice after fire and hurricanes, to a tiny stilted resort off the coast of Belize, these 13 private islands reveal a world of wealth that almost never makes headlines. The first proved that even total destruction can be rebuilt when enough money and determination are involved. The last proved that true privacy has simply become another luxury only the wealthiest can afford. In the end, every one of these islands shares the same quiet truth. The more exclusive the destination, the less the rest of the world ever hears about it.